the idea is I can't get a job because I don't have experience, and I have no experience because I can't get a job. It's really tough to kind of get your foot in the door. And I think understanding that there are ways around that is super important. And I think you're doing the right thing in terms of coming to events where you can hopefully learn more. And that's kind of the other side of this, is how to get more experience, meaningful experience, and how to build upon that. Marketing for me is all about systems, right? And the concept is that if you learn one system, one part of a system, you can start applying it to others. So figuring out what is content development or what is content writing all about will start opening the other doors to SEM or potentially ads and ad campaigns, or maybe you want to learn more about SEO because you've learned how to write now. All these things kind of play a part, and they're all interconnected. No part of marketing is an island. So I think it's interesting to kind of look at marketing as this broad spectrum of interlinking things. And the idea is you want to find something you can get good at. And the great thing about marketing is there's tons of shit to do. So if you don't like something, move on. Get the next one. One of my favorite authors, the whole concept is in order to be an expert at something, you need to put in about 10,000 hours, which is a lot of time. So I think it's important to figure out what inside of marketing kind of gives you a little bit more of the what is this or that's cool, and start chasing that. When I've been interviewing people, I find that a lot of people come from a background of a marketing degree, or maybe they've taken a single class in marketing. And the problem with that is it's all on theoretical stuff, right? It's the idea, it's the concept, it's how it works, not why it works. Building a website is surprisingly easy, but it's also one of those things that you get a very immediate return in terms of getting to see results and seeing what happens. But the biggest part that I run into in terms of building a website is you lose excitement, you lose focus. You got to be excited about it. You got to figure out that, you know, it's the journey, it's not the destination. You're never going to be finished with whatever website you create because there's always something to do. So realize there is no end to this process. It's about learning. Some of the basic stuff, going to build a website. Yes, it's really, really easy. I'm sure you guys recognize some of the tools that are on here. WordPress is my favorite, but there's Squarespace. Google Sites just opened up their own little thing. Wix is easy, Weebly. Next step is buying a domain. I have seen people spend an entire day questioning what the website should be named, but it really doesn't matter. So don't spend all day trying to say, oh, can I put LY at the end of this? Don't worry about that right now. The idea is create. So I always say, do not reinvent the wheel. For those of you that work with me, you know that I say that quite often. I don't want to reinvent. I don't want to have to redo work. And so the idea is buy or get a free template online that you can basically plug right into your website. Branding is a lot of opinion-based stuff, right? I think, you know, brand is a lot of opinion-based stuff, and there aren't a lot of ways to really prove I like this picture versus this picture. Yeah, I mean, you could find or make your own. It's not very hard to do. You can also buy them. So it's pretty straightforward. The idea is you're trying to get something that symbolizes your brand. Does this look like it's from me, from my company? Is this a representation of my website? HTTPS has been one that they did, that was like a year and a half ago. The idea was if you do not have a secure site, an SSL, more or less they're starting to give you less favorability in terms of search results pages. Couldn't find a lot of good pictures of like bad mobile sites, which was surprising, but we've all seen one, right? So if you're on mobile and the experience sucks because the icons are too small to click on, you can't engage, all that stuff relates to how the user actually experiences the site. Therefore, don't do it. A lot of companies have been paying a lot of money to have these really highly optimized sites. The concept is simple, is that we all have so many different devices. There's so many different ratios in terms of size of screen and all that, and you just need to be able to serve a good experience on mobile. If your website takes more than, let's say, 3 seconds to load, you have a problem. Especially if you're trying to get a really slow website to load on your mobile, you say forget it, right? There's no reason to sit there and wait for something to load that isn't going to load over the span of 3 to 5 seconds. So the concept is really straightforward, is that you need to figure out what's happening. Basically, the concept is simple, is you need to optimize these images that can be really high res, that's fine, but make sure that they compress when it goes to a mobile view. The whole concept is give people the fastest experience possible, that way they don't leave. Site structure. Site structure is really interesting. One of the things is you don't want to have a subdomain. So a subdomain is website domainname.com. And subdomains, in my experience, really slow down the user experience of the site, but oddly enough, they're crushed by Google in terms of them saying, well, this isn't the main domain, therefore this should be ranked lower. Technical SEO. So these are the things that can sometimes make a big difference. Some of the technical SEO tools that I think are really helpful. Screaming Frog is one of my favorites. It's a downloadable tool. It's free. I think it only does up to something like 500 pages. But the idea is it basically breaks apart your site and says, you're missing this, you're missing that doesn't work, this is gone, and don't do this. So there's a lot of stuff that plays a role in terms of engagement, and that should be your focus. Does this provide value? Is this interesting? Is this something that I personally would continue to scroll down on? And it's so hard to do that when we create stuff, right? It's getting outside of your own head and then trying to say, if I were not me, would I look at this?